Welcome to Project Prison. We have already shown you the bars on your windows: economics, sports, fear, the three-dimensional cage. But who built the prison itself? We are told that human history is a collection of myths and fairy tales. That gods descended from the heavens to teach us love, morality, and agriculture. This is a lie. And the most terrifying part is that the evidence of this lie has been in the public domain for 150 years. You are simply advised not to read it closely. Today, we open the oldest files on the planet. We assert Sumerian tablets, Babylonian epics, Egyptian texts, and even the Bible are not spiritual books. They are declassified technical reports on colonization, genetic experiments, and the creation of a labor force. There is no mysticism in these texts. There are blueprints, conflict protocols, and operating manuals. Today, Episode 9, Myths as an Ancient Manual. We identify our overseer. We will name the one who created this system and prove documentarily. We are not children of God, but a biological tool for resource extraction that once spiraled out of control. Let's cast aside religious awe and look at the dry facts of cuneiform. Let us turn to a text that is thousands of years older than the Bible, the Epic of Atrahasis. This is not a fairy tale. It is a chronicle of a labor dispute. The text begins with the words, "When the gods, like men, bore the burden and endured the toil of the gods was heavy, the suffering was great." Do you hear this? The gods worked. The Anunnaki arrived on Earth not for an excursion. They needed resources, specifically gold, mentioned in the texts as a necessary element for their atmosphere. But the higher caste Anunnaki forced the lower caste Igigi to work. They dug the beds of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. After 40 years, the Igigi grew tired. What happened next? They didn't start praying. They burned their tools, surrounded the palace of the chief administrator in Lil, and declared a strike. This is recorded in the tablets. Enlil, like a typical cruel director, wanted to execute the rebels. But the ruler's chief scientist, Enki, proposed another solution. Why punish them? The toil is indeed heavy. Let us create a replacement. This is the moment of humanity's birth, not out of love, but out of the need for cheap labor. The Council of Gods decided to create Lulu Amalu, the mixed worker. Forget children's stories about being molded from a lump of clay. Sumerian texts describe a more complex process. At that time, primates, Homo erectus, already existed on Earth. They were ideal candidates. Incredibly strong, resilient, and adapted to Earth's gravity. They were ready-made biological machines. But they had a critical flaw, a lack of intelligence. They were animals. They didn't understand language, couldn't use complex tools, and didn't obey discipline. Then Enki proposed a genetic modification to take the primate base physical strength and integrate the Anunnaki genome, the operating system for understanding commands, into it. This was pure pragmatism. They didn't need a genius. They needed a biorobot smart enough to hold a shovel and fear an overseer, but not conscious enough to ask the question, "Who am I?" We are a hybrid of the beast's strength and the colonizer's mind. But who manages these managers? Who created the very physics of this world, where everything is built on devouring one another? The Gnostics preserved this knowledge, and they called him the Demiurge. In Greek, this isn't creator in a high sense. It is craftsman or artisan. The Gnostics claimed the absolute God, the source of light, could not have created a world where children die of diseases and animals tear each other to pieces for survival. A perfect God does not create mistakes. Therefore, this world was created by someone else, a blind, arrogant entity that separated itself from the pleroma, fullness. He is the chief architect of the prison. He is jealous. In the Old Testament, he explicitly says, "I am a jealous God, and there is no other besides me." Whom can the only God be jealous of? Only one who knows that he is not the only one and not the real one. His assistants are the archons, rulers. In Sumerian texts, these are the same Anunnaki. In our reality, they are energy parasites. They do not have access to the eternal source of energy. Therefore, we are batteries for them. That is why the prison is designed so that you constantly generate emotions. Not joy, it is high frequency and tasteless to them, but fear, anger, lust, and envy. This is the electricity that powers the perimeter. Now, let's reread the story of Eden as an intelligence agency report. The Sumerian word Eden means home of the righteous, but also steppe or plain. It was a closed biostation, a nursery. Adam and Eve lived there, the first successful prototypes. The overseer, Yahweh/Enlil, sets one condition: do not eat from the tree of knowledge. We are told this was disobedience, for which we were punished with mortality. This is a lie. First, the serpent. In ancient traditions, the serpent is a symbol of wisdom, a symbol of DNA, the characteristic double helix. In Sumer, the emblem of Enki, the scientist who protected humans, was specifically a serpent. The serpent said, "You will not die. Your eyes will be opened, and you will be like gods." Meaning, you will receive gnosis, awareness. You will understand who you are. You will stop being biorobots and become sovereign beings. Second, the reaction of the overseer. In the Bible, there is a phrase often ignored. God says to the other Elohim, "Behold, Adam has become like one of us, knowing good and evil. And now, lest he reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever." He wasn't punishing for sin. He was afraid. He was afraid of competition. The prisoners obtained the access codes. The expulsion from paradise was not a moral fall. It was a deportation. We were thrown into a harsh 3D environment, and our lifespan was shortened, genetics altered, so that we would forget our divine nature and occupy ourselves only with survival. And the Great Flood? In the Sumerian version, Enlil explicitly says, "The noise of humanity has become unbearable. They prevent me from sleeping." Humans became too numerous and too conscious. The system performed a hard reset to start the cycle again, this time with a more obedient version of slaves. So, the picture is complete. The evidence is on the table. Myths are encrypted warnings. We were created as a resource. They tried to destroy us with floods and wars every time we raised our heads. But there is one detail the architects did not account for. God's blood was added to the human. We have the spark, that part which does not belong to the demiurge. We are the carriers of a code that can break this prison from the inside. We have uncovered their history. We know their names. And to know the name of a demon is to have power over it. Now we need to understand exactly how they force us to forget this from generation to generation. How does the mechanism of erasing collective memory work? This was Episode 9, Myths as an Ancient Manual. In the next release, we will reveal the topic, the War for Memory. We will show how a nation's code is destroyed to turn people into biomass without a past. Write in the comments, are you ready to admit that the gods of the past were simply cosmic colonizers? And are you ready to free yourself from their script? We look forward to your hypotheses regarding the creation of humanity and the questions that have matured during the viewing of this episode. Don't forget the likes and vibrant comments. We have reached the equator. 9 episodes ago, we asked a simple question: what is wrong with this world? Since then, we have mapped the bars of our cage. We looked at the sky and identified the moon as an artificial warden. We looked into our own blood and found the fingerprints of genetic engineering. We even named our architects the Anunnaki. It seems the puzzle is solved. We know who built the farm and where the livestock is kept. But one question remains, a question that haunts us. If we are so ancient, if our souls are immortal, why don't we remember a damn thing? Why is humanity stuck in a loop, stepping on the same historical landmines century after century? The answer is simple and terrifying. It is not enough to design the perfect slave. You must constantly format their hard drive. Today, we leave the genetics lab and step onto the battlefield of history. Today, we expose how the system steals your past so you never see your future. This is episode 10, The War for Memory. They lied to you. They told you culture is just dessert. Theaters, museums, folk songs, traditions, they taught you this is just decoration, a garnish, something unnecessary for survival. This is a fatal error. In the architecture of the prison, culture is not entertainment. It is the IFF system, identification friend or foe. It is the source code stitched into your subconscious. It is the only thing that distinguishes a nation from a herd of biological units working for food. That is why the great wars of history are never about territory or resources. Land can be captured in a week. Resources can be bought. A real existential war is always an attempt to erase the code. Rome versus barbarians. Let's look at the classic case. Ancient Rome and the barbarians. School textbooks told you the barbarians came for gold. That is a lie. The barbarian hates Rome not because Rome is rich. The barbarian hates Rome because Rome is substance. And the barbarian is an empty shell. The barbarian has no history of creation. He only knows how to consume. But the horror begins when the barbarian wants to become the Roman. He kills the patrician, strips the white toga off a corpse, and drapes it over his own shoulders. He pins stolen medals to his chest. He kidnaps foreign gods and renames them. He builds a facade that looks like a palace, but inside it is a barn. He thinks, if I steal the master's name and clothes, then I am the master. But under the white toga, he is still clutching a dirty club. This is imposter syndrome. Deep down, the aggressor knows he is a fake. And that is exactly why he must destroy the original. Because the original, by the very fact of its existence, reminds the barbarian that he is nothing. Now look out your window. What is happening today is not just geopolitics. This is identity theft on a planetary scale. Moscovia is a historical hacker who hijacked the account of Chivan Rus. They stole the name. They stole the church. They stole the alphabet. They stole the history of the princes. But they have a glitch. There is a witness. There is the real owner of the passport they are trying to forge. That witness is Ukraine. We are living proof of their counterfeit nature. As long as St. Sophia stands in Kiev, their Kremlin is just cheap scenery. As long as the original breathes, the copy cannot become the only reality. That is why they fire missiles at museums, not just barracks. That is why they burn Ukrainian books in city squares, like a medieval inquisition. Their goal is a global factory reset. They want to delete the file named Ukraine from the universe's server, so that no one remembers the Tsar is a fake. As of the end of 2025, the destruction is staggering. These are not accidental hits. This is a calculated lobotomy of a nation. Over 1,600 cultural heritage sites damaged or destroyed. Kharkiv, Kherson, Odessa. The system is methodically erasing historical layers. They don't just bomb stone, they bomb the carriers of the code. Libraries, theaters, universities. These aren't just statistics. These are 1,600 attempts to erase your memory. The barbarian cannot create, so he must turn Rome into rubble, so his own mud hut doesn't look so pathetic against the skyline. But the barbarian has a problem. He can burn the library, he can level the theater, but he cannot destroy the access code written in your DNA and your language. As long as one carrier of the original remains alive, the copy is doomed to fade. This war ends not when the cannons go silent. It ends when the last Ukrainian remembers that they are not a little brother, but the sole legal heir to 1,000-year history. Kiev stood before Moscow. Kiev will stand long after it is gone. Today, we didn't just give you data, we gave you a weapon. This topic is a red flag for the system. We know the bots will swarm the comments to blur the truth, to force you back into an inferiority complex. That is why today we need your voice. Write in the comments, which historical myth about brotherly nations did you personally shatter during this war? Share the moment you woke up. Let this chat become a territory of truth that cannot be hacked. Like this video, force the algorithms to work for our memory, not their oblivion. We have reclaimed our past. We remembered who we are. But if we are so ancient, so powerful, why don't we feel it? Why is our hardware limited? Why does our brain run at only 5% capacity? Why can't we hear the voice of the Creator, but only the static of the news? In the next 11th episode, we find the cause. We will perform an X-ray of the moon and look deep inside our own skulls. We will prove that we weren't just lied to historically. We were switched off biologically. Next time, the broken code. We will find the part they stole from us. Thank you for holding the line. You are the original. And for conscious viewers of our project, we recommend watching the first 10 episodes of the Prison Project, because in the future their logic will be important in the process of watching the following episodes. See you in reality.